Welcome back to the Heat Check Podcast. This is episode 36. We're recording this Saturday, February 8th, 2025, the eve of the Super Bowl rematch between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Ew.
But because this probably won't be out till midweek sometime, we're not going to talk about that. But if you want to hear us talk about it, you can go over to our YouTube page, Valley Sports Plug. We had a Super Bowl preview stream this last Tuesday. And we record live streams every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. local time. So make sure you go over there on YouTube, check us out, like and subscribe. Also, follow us across all social medias at AZ_VSP. That's Instagram, TikTok, X, Twitter. Anywhere you can find us, we're probably going to be there. Just Google search Valley Sports Plug. You'll find our link tree. Or if you're listening on a podcast streaming service or watching on YouTube, down in the description below, we'll have all our links in there as well. But ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Chris Patrick. Happy to be back in Studio B here in the month of February. I have joining me, of course, my beautiful co-hosts. We have Kendrick Lamar's ghostwriter, VSP Tallman.
They not like us. They not like us. Yeah, I wrote that.
You played a big role in that, right?
Yeah. Because, they're just not like us.
Right? I've known you're a hooker, so you're good at the hooks and stuff, right?
Depends what you mean by hooker. Excuse me.
Well, we can get into that a little more later on.
We can. Yeah, we'll save that for the end.
I have to, of course, introduce our third chair here, the personal trainer for Anthony Davis, Mr. Michael Benjamin.
Yikes.
Tough start in Dallas, right? Non-contact
they're rioting
injury
in the streets, and Anthony Davis is not helping them. But
oof.
We love to see it, baby. Let's go, gentlemen. How we doing?
Man, I'm doing good. But I mean, aside from the Super Bowl, Waste Management Opens happening here in town. We just had a disastrous trade deadline, the Phoenix Suns. So we'll get into some Suns talk. There's a lawsuit Michael Bidwell is involved in with his ex-assistant. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Some D-backs news, they re-signed Randall Grichuk. They got free agent Trey Mancini, who didn't play at all last season, had a couple good years in Baltimore, but then a down year with the Cubs in 2023. So, not a whole lot to talk about, but we'll do our best, and we'll just have a little bit of a conversation here. But kind of want to just start off, I guess, I guess I got to ask you guys, are you ready to get right into it?
Oh, dude, I'm so ready.
As ready as you can be?
As always.
I'm feeling ready. So ready.
Yeah?
It feels so good.
Feel real good?
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad, man. I'm glad because I'm not very glad with the way the Suns are playing and the direction they're heading as an organization in general. This trade deadline certainly didn't help. Mike, I do want to kick it to you first and just ask the big question. Where do we go from here?
Lots of different places, and in the next couple of years, probably a downward trajectory because of our guy Bradley Beal not waiving his no trade clause. No, there's been a lot of different conversations and people saying Bradley Beal earned that no trade clause. Rightfully so,
Yeah.
Let's also be honest at the same time. The Washington Wizards had to give him that in order for him to stay, because who the hell wants to play in DC, folks? I mean, so you're handcuffed, but you knew what you were putting yourself into when you brought that contract on. Now, obviously, as you see the Phoenix Suns as a middling team, 500 ball right now, the questions start to come about in regard to, well, go back a couple of years. Should you have made the trade for Kevin Durant? Should we have tried to stick it out with Chris Paul a little bit more, not trade for Bradley Beal? Hindsight's always 20/20 in that regard, but we are where we are right now. It's a scary place, gentlemen. That's just...
Yeah,
I'm scared. I don't know about you.
No, and it's interesting because I think the future is so unknown. But I mean, it always is, right? But I think when we were going through the dark days, I talk about them a lot with Eric Bledsoe, Tyson Chandler, Brandon Knight, the whole Goran Dragic. We had more hope for the future because we were kind of at an all-time low at that point. So when you're at the bottom, there's really nowhere to go but up. But it feels like this team's kind of stuck in limbo right now with having so much generational talent on the court, particularly with Durant and Booker. Beal, if we had gotten Beal 5 years ago, might have been a little bit of a better situation. And that's what I think is kind of weird. Like that's, kind of talking back on like the Dallas trade with Luka and Anthony Davis is like they're saying, oh, Dallas Mavericks are basically like a 2019 All-Star team. But the unfortunate thing about that is the year is 2025 now. And I feel like that's very similar with the Suns. I mean, aside from Booker, Beal and Durant are not young guys. And we just have a bunch of random role players that aren't really helping push this team over the hump. So just to bring it back, like the future is very uncertain. Is like, where exactly are we supposed to go from here? And I think it's tough, man. I don't know. I think you're right, Mike. It's scary. It's dark. And I think if I think about the moves they made around the trade deadline, or rather the moves they didn't make, I almost can't help but feel like they kind of were saved from themselves, though, at the same time. Because there were rumors about trades with the Warriors and moving Kevin Durant, getting Jonathan Kuminga and a few other random pieces. But I don't know if Kuminga is the guy that's going to move the needle for this team either. But Tallman, I want you to chime in here because you've actually been one of the biggest basketball guys out of the three of us over the past few weeks.
Settle down.
So what do you got?
Yeah, so I mean the trade deadline, Mike. I mean you nailed it by not blaming it all on Bradley Beal, because you can't blame Bradley Beal for having a no trade clause in his contract. You can only blame the Suns for bringing that contract into the organization, right? It's not his fault, right? He, like you said, he deserved and he negotiated and he got that as part of his contract. But this whole trade deadline, man, I mean, how long did it go on with the whole Jimmy Butler? It was like a month and a half, 2 months, where it was like he was
like it.
Yeah, it felt
but
like
it was like, and then all the rumbling that you heard was the Phoenix Suns were desperate to try to work anything out, to put up anything. I mean, to do anything possible to get Jimmy Butler to Phoenix. And then the fact that we couldn't pull that off, I mean, so why did we take that 2031 first round pick and turn it into 3 lesser first round picks? So now that you look back on that, we did that for no reason. That was an absolute waste. But at the same time, I mean, obviously the whole Jimmy Butler rumblings for, like I said, a month and a half, 2 months. You had Bradley Beal, who was just disgruntled, right? I mean, he's going to work every day at a place that no one wants him to be there. They want to get rid of him. We got rid of one of the cancers, which was...
But is that the only reason he was disgruntled, is that he was being brought up in these trade rumors and the fan base has completely turned against him? Because otherwise, I don't know if he was too upset. Maybe the benching.
The benching had a lot to do with that as well.
Definitely the benching, which, I mean, at this point, dude, I mean, he's got to start again. I don't know. That's a whole nother discussion. But, I mean, you got rid of Nurk. That was probably the only positive thing of it. But then you also had to ship out a first-round pick with him just to get rid of him. But you got rid of him. But then you just caught extra flack to where the whole Kevin Durant, because from everything that we're hearing, the Suns were legitimately listening and wanting to trade Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant's coming out saying, why the hell did you not talk to me about it? So we have a big 3 right now where 2 of them are pissed off. And then you have ESPN, you got all the big talking heads on the major sports networks talking about how the Suns are just toxic right now. So not only have you this whole buildup, it was Jimmy Butler or bust. That didn't work out. And then at the same time, you piss off Kevin Durant. Like how many games are left? 35, 33?
We're coming up on only 30 left.
30 left,
very,
okay.
Very shortly.
Yeah, so obviously, I mean, the only trades you did this entire season were with the Charlotte Hornets. So you didn't do any impact trades. You got nothing really. So right now we're gonna have a very interesting 30 games of basketball ahead of us right now, gentlemen. I think the worst part about it was pissing off Kevin Durant, because it doesn't matter right now. Okay, so yeah, maybe you want to trade him because it was like you don't get Jimmy Butler. Maybe you can ship off Kevin Durant. He's old. Maybe you can get some good young players, some draft picks, right? Some assets actually to restock because you have 0. But that didn't happen. So now what happens in the summer with Kevin Durant? You know, we know what Kevin Durant does when he doesn't want to be on a team. He forces his way out, and he gets what he wants all the time. So I don't know, guys. Come the summertime, I don't think Kevin Durant's going to be a Phoenix Sun.
Can I jump in on this? Because
Please,
I also want
please.
to put the Jimmy talk to bed. This is the last time that we really need to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean,
unless
what's done is
you're
done.
watching past the outlet and the Warriors somehow miraculously make a playoff run and they're in the
It's
NBA
not
Finals.
gonna happen.
Ain't happening. But gentlemen, I mean, well, let me ask this question to you guys at first. And we touched on it a little bit as the month and a half was going on. When you were seeing kind of the antics from Jimmy Butler where he's wearing the purple and orange shoes and, you know, he's changed his braid colors to orange.
Yeah.
Like, what were your emotions? What were your feelings about that, knowing that even though he's 35 years old, one of the better players in the NBA still wants to be a part of this organization? Like, how were you just generally feeling in regard to that?
It made me a little nervous. I went back and forth on it a lot, honestly. I mean, initially you hear the superstar name, you think about the idea of pairing him with Booker and Durant and actually being able to get rid of Beal. But then you dig a little bit deeper and you realize Butler also has a lot of injury history. He also has a lot of locker room disruption behavior that he's brought with him from other teams. I mean, he's already on his 5th or 6th team in this league, and it's because he's burned every bridge wherever he's ever gone. So I think at the end of the day, like, to answer your question, it made me nervous in a lot of ways. I was kind of on board with like, hey, let's try it out at this point. Let's try anything out because clearly what we're doing isn't working. But long term, I didn't really want him here, if we're being completely honest.
Fair is fair. What about you, Tallman?
So I was open to it. Maybe that was a dumb. So, okay. So all right. So it was kind of dumb, but the only reason I was open to it was because what we were doing currently was not working. This team is not working. And then guess what? After the trade deadline, nothing happened. And so we're going into the remainder of the season doing something that's not working. So it's one of those major mix-ups where it's like, okay, maybe this him coming in would be the factor that would change the complexion of this team and our trajectory right now in this season. Because I mean, we're 500, right? It's not too late to get out of a playoff or a play-in game and maybe get a low seed in the playoffs. But I mean, like we were saying in some of the streams where, I mean, the fact that if you think Jimmy Butler is going to save this team, you're delusional. I mean, it's no difference. I don't think Jimmy Butler changes much, but it was just that initial excitement of something different than what we're doing right now to give you a little bit of hope and a little bit of excitement to maybe, just maybe, something different might happen. And maybe this team might come together and just spark, right? And just start ripping off wins and just be ultra competitive, because currently right now this team is not competitive. And we've seen it time and time again when this team plays some of the better teams in the league. It just does. I mean, we can barely beat the Jazz. We got to go to overtime,
Yeah.
Just recently speaking, that's why I was inside. I was excited about it, but to be realistic about it, you're piling up. You're bringing in a guy that's old, 35 years old. He's got also a very expensive contract where you're just hindering yourself for the future. But the idea of being able to win right now and doing everything you can to win right now and be competitive was exciting, even though on surface level it was not the right thing to do. So I was open to it, even though I was vocally, I was not a supporter of it.
Yeah, real quick, Mike, I just think, like, if we were to have done that move, it comes off as very desperate from this organization.
Oh yeah,
because of all the things, and I don't want to just dogpile on Jimmy Butler, but he comes across to me as someone who hasn't followed him very closely, just see the headlines when he's making them, is that he comes off as a guy that's all about me and not about we. He needs to be in the spotlight, and how many strong personalities can you have in a locker room before they start butting heads? Durant and Booker are very strong personalities, and you saw with guys like Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, that started to kind of flare a little bit to where they had to move off these guys. Brad Beal seems like a guy that's kind of like go along to get along. He's going to do what's asked of him, which that much I can appreciate for Brad Beal. But with Jimmy Butler, he's also comes across as to me, a little bit disingenuous and kind of like a guy that talks out of both sides of his mouth, because he was making this strong push for the Suns. Like you said, the shoes, the hair, saying he's not gonna sign an extension with anybody else. What does he do the second he gets to the Warriors? Signs a 2-year, $121 million extension.
he said that he would not sign an extension with the Warriors too.
Yeah.
And then that's where I thought it was the nail in the coffin. Like, he's coming to Phoenix because the Heat's hands are tied now. But the Heat must have been playing, Pat Riley must have been playing hardball, man.
Now, I'm so happy I asked that question to you guys.
That was a good question.
Because the beautiful thing is, from both of your perspectives, I have exact alignment on certain things from both of you. Tallman, I'm right there with you. I was ready to give it a chance. We have a year and a half worth of tape of what this big three looks like, and it is something that doesn't work. Let's just be honest with each other here, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm exactly aligned with you, Chris, where I would have been scared as hell making a trade for a 35-year-old guy, having to give him $120+ million when he turns 38 years old, where at the last 3 stops of his career in Minnesota, Philadelphia, and now Miami have been absolute train wrecks, with him leaving disasters out the door. Now, granted, I guess some people are calling Pat Riley a mastermind and basically getting this done, being able to bring in Andrew Wiggins and not having to lose that much capital for that trade. So it's not as bad for Miami. But they had that month of BS and bullshit that was going along with Jimmy Butler, who's walking out of team walkthroughs and, missing team flights and that kind of stuff.
Getting suspended 2 or 3 times.
Is that really how you want to bring that into the culture of what is already apparently a toxic situation in the Phoenix Suns locker room?
Yeah.
Guys, we're even talking about the big man, Yusuf Nurkic, not having conversations with the head coach. Like, come on. If Jimmy Butler is that kind of a character, and Mike Budenholzer is still to the point where he can't even talk to Yusuf Nurkic, what happens if Mike Budenholzer pulls Jimmy Butler at the wrong time on a Thursday night game? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want to bring it back to the trade deadline, because one of the other things that we talked about, the situation with bringing in Jimmy Butler with where this team sat cap-wise, you had to trade one of the big three, and it was always just Bradley Beal, right? That's when you started it out.
Yeah.
But we should have known the writing on the wall, because when Bradley Beal was talked about before he was moved to Phoenix, Miami was one of those options originally, and they didn't want him. So why would they want him now? After a year and a half of mediocrity and the inability to stay healthy and play and be a true contributor. So when we spent we spent this extra time bashing our heads in trying to figure out how to move Bradley Beal for Jimmy Butler for 3 weeks, knowing that really wasn't ever going to be an option unless you get 4 or 5 different teams involved. You know how hard that's going to be? And then, going back to what Tallman was talking about, at the 11th hour, transitioning to try and see if Kevin Durant can be a piece that is traded out. Now, before I pass it over to you guys, I have a hypothetical of some of the reports in regard to what that trade could have looked like as well, and I want to know your guys' thoughts. But this front office and this ownership group needs to look themselves in the eye and really think about what the next steps are for this team, because you have lost leverage with Kevin Durant now. You have completely lost leverage with him. But going back to it, what are the reports we're saying? Kevin was interested in going to Miami, but Miami didn't want to leverage the future. Phoenix was asking a whole bunch of pieces back and draft capital, and they weren't ready to give it to a guy who's going to be 37 right around the corner. But the other big one was the trade with the Warriors, right? and it sounded like there was going to be a whole bunch of different pieces added in, which would have landed the Suns Jonathan Kuminga, Jimmy Butler, multiple first-round picks, and I think it's one other player, Jonas Valanciunas. So you're talking about those three guys to start resetting your bench for players that aren't really contributing. Is that a trade that you guys would have been interested in? And obviously that was pulled off at the last minute because then they finally went to talk to Kevin Durant about going back to Golden State, and he said, no, I don't want to go back there.
Yeah.
But that's my next question to you guys. Think of that haul. Jimmy Butler, obviously a 35-year-old guy, but can still play pretty solid defense, can create his own shot, can be a better player when he's healthy in this league. One of the best, one of the top 20. Jonathan Kuminga, a large wing, still very, very young, under 23 years old, I think.
Yeah.
Jonas Valanciunas up there, but a starting center, a true still starting caliber center, because Mason Plumlee and Nick Richards are not the solutions.
They're not starting caliber centers for sure. Yeah.
So what do you think? Would you have pulled that off?
Mike, you're coming with the banger questions. I'm going to let Tallman answer this first.
Yeah. You said Jonas Valanciunas?
Jonas Valanciunas.
Jonas? So no, he doesn't tickle my pickle. I'm sorry. But Kuminga, he's a young, good talent. Yeah, that's a good player. What was it was just draft capital? It wasn't.
Probably like 3 first-round picks.
Okay.
And Jimmy Butler.
Man, it's really hard because if you couldn't pull off that Butler trade, then it was just like, okay, we're going to finish the season doing the same thing that we've been doing, but we're going to expect different results. Definition of insanity. So that's the whole idea where people are saying it was either Butler or bust, which means Butler or reset time. Let's trade Durant, because the only person that's untouchable on this team is who?
Book.
Oh yeah,
Devin
Booker.
You are not getting rid of Devin Booker. If you hear any motherfucker out there saying that the Suns should trade Devin Booker, whatever, he is the only consistent that the Suns have for Suns fans. He is not going anywhere.
I mean, he just set the all-time scoring leading record
Correct.
for the franchise.
Could you imagine?
You're not going to trade. He sets it. Less than a week later, they ship him out.
Not even,
See ya.
It would've, so he did that on like Tuesday or something. Could you imagine if he set that record and then the next day he gets traded? No, like it's obviously it's a no-brainer. He's not going anywhere. So to go back to your question though, the idea of being able to have a reset and, getting a good young player, getting some assets, getting rid of Kevin Durant, which it's inevitable that he's going away. And then even after this trade deadline, maybe it's even this summer that he's going away. I would have been open to it, but you would never get past the criticism of trading Kevin Durant for Jimmy Butler, because that just does not line up. It does not. If you're going to get rid of Kevin Durant and replace him with Jimmy Butler, that is how do you get better? You technically would have gotten worse. I mean, come on, Kevin Durant, even they're close to the same age. I think Kevin Durant's a year older than him, maybe by a month or two. But Kevin Durant is a much better player than Jimmy Butler. I don't know. I would have been open to it because I'm at this point where it's not working and you need a reset. It's inevitable that a reset's coming. But unfortunately, with the owner that we have, with Matt Ishbia, he is impatient and he doesn't want to accept that. So that's why we're in the climate that we are right now with the Suns.
So just to be clear, you're saying you wouldn't have wanted them to make that move?
No, I would have.
Oh, you would have wanted them to
because
do it. Okay.
we didn't get Butler. So if we would have gotten Butler, then no, obviously not. If we could have gotten Jimmy Butler without getting rid of Kevin Durant, if it could have been a Beal Butler type of exchange,
like 1-for-1.
Well, and then obviously there's a bunch of teams involved in the proposed or projected trades, but
See, I still don't know where Tallman
So
lands.
no, so he
No,
would.
so
So
I'm
he
saying
wouldn't
if-
have.
He wouldn't have done
He
no.
wouldn't have.
so
for Kuminga, Valanciunas, and Butler for just Kevin Durant. So one
Kevin
for
Durant.
3.
if
You
we,
would not have done
if
that.
we could have gotten Butler without getting rid of Durant, no,
Okay.
not but so obviously then we're going for it. So what I'm saying is so that would have been we're all in, right? Like I said earlier, it's something different. Let's try it again. But at this point, since it didn't happen, and then you could see it at the 11th hour, they were trying to get that Durant trade done. Yes, I would have been in favor of that.
So I'm a little slow here. You're saying you would not have wanted Butler and Durant to play together on the Suns, but you would have been okay moving Durant and getting Butler. Am I?
No,
Am
okay. Sorry, I'm not trying to confuse you. Okay, I'm sorry.
He's all over the map now.
I'm sorry.
You gotta remember, I'm the least educated out of the 3 of us. So.
No.
Brain don't work so good.
You're on it. So no, so because they couldn't get Butler with Durant and Booker, I was in favor of Durant
of
being
the 1 for 3.
shipped out.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I see.
But then I came back to saying technically you're getting worse because Butler is not. As good as
I think
Durant.
I was
Yes.
confused because initially you said it didn't tickle your pickle.
The Jonas brothers.
Okay, I'm still confused, but I'm gonna move on.
The Jonas brothers can tickle my pickle. But.
The player, just specifically the
Yeah,
player.
just the one player.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
Jonas.
think I get it.
just
I think
him,
I get it. I'm gonna need a Tylenol after this, but
Me too. But.
Mike, I wanna answer your question. It does interest me a little bit. I can't lie, because the fact of getting more depth, but I don't think at the end of the day I would want it, because it doesn't put us over the edge. It doesn't make us a contender or put us in a better spot to contend this year. And then they only get older. You know, Butler gets older, Valanciunas gets older. I think Kuminga's probably in his late 20s, so still.
No, he's like, dude, I'm pretty sure he's like 22, 23.
Oh, is he really still that
Yeah.
young? I forget these
maybe
guys come in at like
24.
18, 19 years old now.
You're right. I got it.
Yeah, look it up.
Yeah, look that
Tallman.
up,
He
but-
might be 24 now, but
But I think it just goes
Early
back to what
20s.
I was saying, where it's like that is a desperation
Oh,
move.
he's 22.
22. Okay, well, I lied. That would have been good then. Depending on how much control you have and his willingness to potentially re-sign and what that would look like. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think even Butler here with KD, Butler here without KD, I don't know that I would really have wanted him on the Suns in any form or fashion. It does make me curious, because KD's getting up there. You know, if you want to get something back for him, that would be a way to do it potentially. But I think the Suns really need to sleep in the bed that they made. And they put this big super team together, big 3. We're all in the national media now, but we're a 500 team, 9th, 10th, 8th in the Western Conference standing, depending on what week it is. And these guys are in and out of the lineup. I mean, the game coming up with the Nuggets, whether it's tonight or tomorrow, Beal and Durant are already ruled out. It's the same fucking story week in and week out. I swear there's only been like 3 games this year where the injury report is clean. And so these guys just can't stay healthy. Jimmy Butler, none of that would have changed. I going back to what you said, Mike, I think we really need to start looking at the ownership and management, and they need to take a long look in the mirror themselves. I was talking to my brother a little bit about this, trade deadline shenanigans, and he said that he's sick of James Jones. But I keep asking the question, is it James Jones or is it Matt Ishbia? I feel like we don't even have a general manager anymore.
I think
It's
that's the
Ish.
truth.
Yeah,
It's Ish pulling the strings,
Yeah.
right? I know there were the rumblings beforehand where it's like, well, Isaiah Thomas is in his pocket, so he's like the true like secondary GM. No, it's Matt Ishbia being hard-headed, being a new owner, thinking that he knows everything
Right.
about an industry that he's just getting his feet wet in at the end of the day. He's not using the leaders around him and the people that he's paying. Obviously, we don't know all of the conversations that they have, but the one thing that you always have to come back to and you have to keep in mind is what happened at 48 hours after Matt Ishbia took over as the owner of the Phoenix Suns.
Goodbye, Mikal Bridges. Goodbye,
He
Cam
traded
Johnson.
the young core future for Kevin Durant. That was his decision because Robert Sarver and James Jones had already been working on it beforehand through the summer, and it logistically didn't make sense because they were going to have to get rid of Mikal Bridges, who is starting to become top 20 player in this league at some points. Now that New York Knicks team is kind of stacked, so he doesn't shine as much
He
as
gets
he
lost
did
in
when
the
he was in
shuffle.
Brooklyn,
Yeah.
right? But it was Matt Ishbia who made that call, and it's been Matt Ishbia who has been making the calls for these big shiny toys in Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, and making these trades for these known commodities that cost a whole bunch. And then it's James Jones' job to try and fit the round hole in the square peg, you know, and bringing in all these 1 year minimum guys who we think sound great, that should fit a certain role. But let's talk about the basketball here for a little bit, gentlemen, because here's the other thing. Since the Phoenix Suns have gotten worse this year, for some reason I've been watching more, right? Because maybe I just want to watch the train wreck and see how the crash ends at the end of it all. But man, I'm just thinking about that Utah Jazz game the other night. That third quarter was the best I've seen the Phoenix Suns play in the past 2 weeks.
They scored 40 points.
Because the ball was moving.
40 points in the third
Guys
quarter.
were getting within action. It just seemed like we had some new legs. We had some spry guys who haven't been playing a lot, right? Damian Lee's getting some action. Bull's getting in there, but dropping in, 10 plus points off the bench. Devin Booker's going for 50. I was getting flashbacks of when Devin Booker was the man. When you have both Kevin Durant and Devin Booker on the floor, I just think about the Portland game where Devin set the all-time franchise record. The kid had 35 plus points and was balling out, keeping the Suns in front that entire game. And then the last 6 minutes of the game is just isolation ball to KD. So it's we keep running this repetitive cycle of we might get out to large leads, then our defense falls flat. We are so undersized still at the big positions. We cannot rebound for anything worth a damn. You saw Walker Kessler just walk all over Nick Richards and Mason Plumlee.
Yeah, who is that? How?
So, and then we have to rely on just isolation basketball, saying, KD, go get us a bucket in a very tough one-on-one matchup where he's got to elevate over these guys. And then we still got to somehow get a stop on the other end where teams are still playing team basketball. Now, this is how this team loses down the stretch. And the other thing, too, this is the last thing I'll say about the basketball. Either than Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal to a certain extent, but Bradley Beal just turns the ball over so damn much. We don't have anybody who can create offensively by themselves. So you have to rely on these drive-in kicks. And when these guys aren't hitting, we get down in huge holes. You saw it against the Oklahoma City Thunder at the start of the second half.
Crazy.
They still can't control the
We
basketball.
were like 7 minutes without scoring a basket.
They don't know how to play Tyus Jones. That was a good point that you brought up, dude. Put Tyus on the bench, bring Bradley Beal back into the starting lineup, let him run point guard, him do the double book thing.
Yeah, at this
because
point.
It's not working.
Right.
You have to mix it up. So it's going to be tough to see them run it back after a trade deadline of only adding in Cody Martin and
I didn't even write his name down.
name?
Vasa, something like that.
I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Jarrett Carlin.
Yeah,
Jarrett Carlin.
Yep.
2 guys under 6'5". Where we needed to get bigger at the wing. We needed to shore up the either power forward or get another big in here, and we didn't do either. So we're crossing our fingers and seeing what's happening. But the biggest thing is they painted themselves into a corner trying to attack Jimmy Butler. Then at the 11th hour, making the transition to try and get off KD. Then you're stuck with your hands in the air, being like, you know what? We might have just fucked the next 5 years for this franchise by not being able to do anything.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, it definitely is not. There aren't a lot of reasons to be optimistic right now. The way the Suns are playing, the basketball on the court, the moves they're making and not making, around the trade deadline. But at the end of the day, there have been reports flying left and right, and it's hard to trust, all these things, because that's the beautiful thing about this modern day of social media is a report can come out and then right away KD goes on Twitter and he's like, well, that's not true. So you don't know.
Like
but
Kanye.
Yeah, but no, not like Kanye.
I'm kidding.
But what I was gonna say is damn it, you guys made me forget what I was gonna say.
It was Kanye in your head.
What were we talking about before that? Oh yeah, the reports Reports. Oh yeah, Devin Booker. I saw a report that said Devin Booker was going to stay here. That he didn't want to during the offseason, he wasn't going to look to go anywhere else. He wants to stick it out here.
Oh, Kevin
Booker.
Kevin Booker.
Kevin Booker. Devin Kevin Booker. No, but
where the hell is Book going to go? He's signed for a long-term contract.
But I mean, you know how it is with the stars these days.
KD is the one that's coming up that needs to sign the extension. Like they were thinking that he was going to sign the extension during the season for the next 2 years.
Well, now
you're like, oh, good Lord.
They should have gotten that done before they started floating his name in rumors.
Yep.
I mean, it's a whole can of worms, man. And I don't want to beat the horse to death too much, but I guess. Sorry, Tallman, I do have a question for Mike here because him and I were texting during the Thunder game where in the first half, granted, I didn't watch most of the first half. I caught like the last 5 minutes because I looked at ESPN. I was like, oh, we're up by 10? Holy shit. And then by halftime, we were only up by like 3. And I'm like, well, Thunder are the best team in the West right now, maybe the best team in the league. And so I'm like, I'm going to watch some of the second half, see how it goes. And then absolutely disaster, fell apart, total dog shit. And Mike, you said, this isn't verbatim, but you said basically that you hope the Suns don't even make the play-in. Do you still feel that way a few days
my
later?
Dirty laundry.
Damn.
Airing it out. Well, I mean, we don't have a draft pick for next year that we own, is it? We don't,
dude,
right?
I don't even know these days.
I think
Probably
in the
not.
trade, we got a
think so.
2025 pick back. But it's one of those you own of the worst 3 teams or whatever. I think
Yeah,
I
so
might
it's
be
gonna
wrong.
be a
No, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll walk it back. I mean, they need to make the playoffs because it's not like you can tank and be one of the bottom, 13 or worse for a lottery pick. You don't get it. So what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then here's the other thing, too. You limp into the play-in, you lose the first, if you're a 9-10, you lose that first game, season's over. What would be the difference is if you lost a play-in game or you're able to get through those play-ins and then get to a first-round spot and then get swept by either the Thunder or the Grizzlies or the freaking Houston Rockets at this point. What's going to be the difference in the psyche of that team going into the offseason? You think guys are going to want to stick around?
Yeah, no, I can't imagine.
So at this point, you just got to try and win. You just got to try and win and do the best that you can.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I selfishly have been watching this team more recently because I'm hoping that where a lot of the fan base right now has such a sour taste in their mouth by the inability to make any real changes or improve this roster. It's like you still kind of got to give them some type of energy to keep pushing along.
Yeah.
When at times they probably don't want to because they are a fractured unit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I still want to believe in this team, but it's just so hard.
Here's my last comment on Bradley Beal in a negative light, guys. Can I say it? Bradley Beal missed last night's game because of a sore left toe. Any comments?
Didn't I say that's what it was? I was trying to remember on one of these podcasts. I said I was going to have some homework to like compile a list, and wasn't it like all the Brad Beal injuries that he's amassed since becoming a member of the Phoenix Suns?
A
sore left toe, dude.
Was that really what it was?
That was what the report was.
Bradley Beal is the biggest fucking bitch, dude.
Durant was out because of the ankle.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, especially when you get older, dude. Those ankle injuries can take a lot longer to come back from, even if you tweak it a little bit. A small tweak, he'll miss a couple of games. Huh? I would know. I'm back, though. Don't worry about it.
Bro.
But sore left toe. What does that mean?
Which toe? Is it the big toe?
I don't even know.
He don't even know.
He just has one giant
but
toe.
It's a toe.
His whole
big
left foot
Bradley
is
Beal toe.
Okay, I lied once again. That wasn't the last negative I was going to say about
okay, and is
Bradley
this the
Beal.
last negative on this podcast?
No, yeah, on this podcast. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm not going to go out there and say all my homies hate Bradley Beal, even though that's the truth.
I'll say it.
And then there was those people who were talking about on X going, it's like, we need to go and boo Bradley Beal every time he touches the basketball. Folks, let's get real. Like, what the hell are you talking about? No.
Well, what does that accomplish?
That doesn't get anything
Yeah.
done. If anything, that fractures things even worse for Bradley Beal. The psyche starts to take over, and you're in a negative way, and then you see even worse play.
Yeah.
Because that's a real thing when it
yeah.
comes down to that. If you don't have the backing of the fan base, why the hell is he going to try and play hard for you? But it's funny. I think we brought up this name too. And the past couple of games that I've watched Bradley Beal, you know who I get a lot of flashes of, Chris? A lot of flashes of when he plays. And there's some highs and there's a lot of lows from some of the decisions and the carelessness that he has with the basketball.
I know what you're saying. I think I know where you're going
Do
with
you
this.
know where I'm going with it? Say it.
Eric Bledsoe.
Eric Bledsoe.
Yeah. No, I see. The slasher.
The light bulb. Dude, I think it was about a week ago. The light bulb just flashed brighter than anything in my mind has in a very long time. And I was like, that's it. That's who he is.
It's a head down slasher, man. Like,
it's Eric Bledsoe 2.0.
God, so that's scary then, talking about putting him back in at guard, at point guard, the main ball handler. But
just, hey, at least we would know what we're in for.
Yeah. Yeah, no, just going back just a little bit to some fan response saying to boo him. I understand the emotional reflex because you wanted a big move. You wanted him out of here. You wanted him to waive his no trade clause. None of that happened. So we have to get over it. And if anything, lift him up. I mean, either don't boo him, obviously, but support the dude. Like, he's on your team. And if you have aspirations of this team being successful, you want them to play their best. And the best way to do that, you always hear these players talk about the energy was amazing in the arena tonight. So now if they're playing at home and it's starting to feel like an away game, like all the Cardinals games are, or they're just not getting any love from their fans, period, or if the seats are starting to thin out, it's gonna be tougher a little bit. I mean, granted, Mike, you and I, not obviously we haven't. I don't know about you. I haven't played in arenas. I haven't played in crowds of thousands and thousands. But even when I was growing up playing basketball in school and in rec leagues and stuff, where there was an audience or like people watching, once you're in the four lines, you tune all that stuff out, and it's just white noise. And like that's why you see these coaches yelling, and these players don't even fucking hear it because they're thinking like 5 moves ahead. They're using their peripherals. They're using all of their brain to see, like, got guys over here, got the defender in front of me. I'm going left. What's the next play? How do I get back on defense? Like, your brain doesn't have time to process all the noise going on around you. So I know to some extent, obviously the players can hear it, and if the boos are loud enough, they're going to hear it, but I think they can tune it out. But that doesn't take away from the fact that you don't accomplish anything by booing Bradley Beal. It only has a negative, outcome. It's even if it's a neutral outcome, don't do it. But I don't know, Tallman, I do kind of want to rope you back in here because I know we've kind of boxed you out a little bit here, but
how dare you? Don't
dump it in the
Robert
paint to
Sarver
me,
me
Chris.
in the hallway.
I got the mismatch.
I'm gonna James Jones you. I'm just gonna
there you go.
Override all of your jobs. No, but you obviously, we've kind of had the discussion that you've kind of floated out of bringing Brad Beal back into the starting lineup. On top of that, what else do the Suns need to do post All-Star break to have a chance at a playoff run?
Yeah, so Ryan Dunn needs to play more. So I don't know if you guys watched the Jazz game. It was halftime. Guess how many minutes Ryan Dunn had?
Probably like 3 or 4 minutes.
5 minutes.
5, nice.
He had 5 minutes. So what is this team bad at? We're bad at rebounding.
Where do I start?
Okay, all right. Sorry. Let me,
we should probably make a list of the things we're good at, and it'll be shorter.
Exactly. It'd be less effort. Let me rephrase that. What are some of the worst things this team?
Defense, rebounds.
Defense, rebounds. Ryan Dunn is good at what? Defense, right? So why is he not playing more? I don't. That was my one takeaway from last night. Also, this Mason Plumlee experiment. I don't. Why is he playing?
I'm
so many minutes.
I'll take the L for that because I was all about. Bringing in Plumlee.
He came out hot. Okay, he came out hot.
He came out hot, but he's also being played way too many minutes.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Like, he's playing the most minutes he's ever played.
He was never
career.
supposed to play starter minutes on this team.
He's playing like 23, 24, 25 minutes a game.
And you make the trade for Nick Richards. You start him. He's having games of double-doubles, and then he doesn't play the last 8 minutes of any game.
It makes no sense.
It's like, why?
Well,
I don't get it.
and
It's
not
because
ju-
he's too young. You can't trust him to make the right decisions down the stretch. It's not like Mason Plumlee is making defensive stops. The only thing he's doing is giving up second chance opportunities and
he can't
runs
score.
around the basket.
Plumlee can't score. Richards can score. And it's I don't know. That's so I want to see Dunn out there more, and then man, Richards has to play more. Plumlee needs to take a back seat. Like it just I don't get it. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean
the rotation has just been haunting Coach Bud. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can really think of is what Bud's perspective might be on playing Plumlee over Richards in late game situations. Is that we don't want either of those centers to be relied upon to score later in the game.
No,
you want to lean on your stars, Booker,
enough
Durant,
scores.
Beal. Yeah, you have enough scoring to go around. And obviously, Mason Plumlee's been around a lot longer. He's more of a veteran, might have a little bit of a higher basketball IQ. But right now, who is playing better defense? Who is getting more rebounds? I think Richards is clearly more athletic than Mason Plumlee. At this point, when we're talking about throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, why not give Richards some chances late game and see if he can put us over the hump and keep us in games? I don't know. But Mike, I guess same question to you. What do, aside from getting more rebounds, playing better defense, is there anything else that they need to do to try and find success here later in the season?
At this point, I feel like it's going to be so hard to find the right mix in regard to rotation. But they got to just take it upon themselves. It's like if they want to win some of these scrap out games, they got to bring that specific energy that it takes to play aggressive perimeter defense and rebound the basketball and stop second chance opportunities. That's what has killed this team the past 2 seasons and continues to kill them. Just giving teams opportunities after opportunities. I mean, you just think about that second game against Portland. You make a stop with 8 seconds left and you can't get the offensive rebound. So granted, Book misses the 3rd free throw, so you kind of screwed yourself there too. But it's all in their hands at this point, right? Especially you can't move anybody else. The trade deadline is over. You have who you have. It's how much you want it. And I don't even know if it's in a situation now where it's almost like you guys heard about those teams that like tune out the coach and all band together and really fall in line with each other. If Coach Bud is not speaking to this team and being able to get what he wants in a positive light for this team to be successful and people aren't having it from them, band together as a unit because y'all play together, y'all get it done on the floor together and just become one. Because that's what this... Dude, ever since the finals team, ever since Luka Doncic ruined this franchise, killing us in Game 7, that's where the whole fractured hole of the family vibes that this Phoenix Suns team had has been gone. And it's nowhere to be found. And you hoped that wouldn't happen because you still have the main catalyst in Devin Booker here. But he's the only one left.
Yeah, and I think once things devolve into finger pointing, you've already lost, and there's really no coming back from that. And that's, I think, why we had to move Ayton, why we had to move Paul. And if the finger pointing is coming from the fans and the pundits and the guys like us that have podcasts, that's fine. We can live with that because that's what we do. We comment on the team. But once it starts happening internally, then I think... And you're seeing guys like visibly get frustrated with each other, like on the court in games. Because I mean, if you keep stuff behind the scenes, I feel like that's not as bad as having full on blowouts on the sideline and in timeouts. I can't remember, but I don't think we've really seen any of that this season. I think the guys are still, showing up to work, doing their job, playing together. So yeah, I agree with you, Mike. They need to just figure it out, and whether that's with Bud or without Bud, or coming together, having a poker night, figuring it out. They got to find some magic in a bottle and push this team over to the next level, because I don't want to see this era of the Suns fizzle out in this way. But it seems like, for my money, it's more likely than not that this era with Booker, Durant, it's going to end without a championship, and that sucks.
the flame is dangerously low right now, gentlemen. But, we still got some season left to see how they put things together. That Utah game, even though it was a grinded out, really almost gave it away at the end, you were able to pull it together and put the hammer down in OT. We'll see how they do up against, a top 5 team in the West with the Denver Nuggets. But the other fact is that this team's scheduled the second half of the year. I think it was top 5 hardest left.
It's not good.
So
Yikes.
There are going to be a whole lot of tests coming up for this team. And hopefully guys are healthy for it and guys are ready to go and try and put it together to make some kind of a playoff push. That's all you can ask for at this point.
Yeah, and only time will tell. I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see and hope for the best, but I think we've all tempered our expectations a little bit. Trust and believe that we are going to continue to talk about the Phoenix Suns as they're pretty much the only show in town right now.
Sorry, my bad. Okay.
Turn that thumb right side up.
Turn that thumb upside down.
But very quickly here, as the NFL draft approaches, we are going to be talking about the Arizona Cardinals some more. They haven't really done a whole lot so far I guess it's not officially the off season yet, but it has been for them for a few weeks now.
Hey.
But they are still finding ways to make headlines and be in the news, and mostly because of our fabulous, fantastic, everybody loves him, owner of the Arizona Cardinals, Michael Bidwell, who is once again wrapped up in a controversy that really has nothing to do with the football team. He is being accused by his ex-assistant of some, I don't even know, Tallman, I guess I'll ask you, man.
Shenanigans?
Some shenanigans. There you go. I got to find the right adjective. Thank you, Michael.
Shenanigans for sure. Well, let's not discredit anyone's claims, right? I want to be PC about it, right? So
guilty until proven innocent is what you're saying.
God, what is this? 2005? We're being PC.
When you're a billionaire, yeah, it might be a little different, but so it's a former assistant. All right, that was unmercifully harassed until she quit. So this is do I say her name? Yeah, I'm going to say her name.
You can do that. If it's public.
Well, I didn't want to because I can't pronounce her last name.
Oh, okay.
It's really fucking Brittany Neuheisel. That's it.
Yeah, that sounds
Neuheisel.
right. Yeah.
Neuheisel. So she was Bidwell's assistant from 2019 until she resigned last week, and she is suing Michael Bidwell on claims of constructive discharge, wrongful discharge. Do you know what that is? I'm joking. All right. Discrimination and intentional infliction of emotional distress. So it was a complaint filed with the Superior Court of Maricopa County. So the claims go into Bidwell was demeaning to Neuheisel, verbally abusing her almost every day. That was in quotations. And then Neuheisel left the Cardinals 9 days ago and walked out crying after Bidwell screamed at her for over a half an hour. So there's a lot of different allegations going into this. So the one here was Neuheisel says Bidwell demanded that she disavow her children and grandchildren, and that he told Neuheisel that her relationships were affecting her work performance. So I don't know. Then it goes on. It gets crazy. Okay. So she states Bidwell asked her to make multiple false claims, including shipping a firearm through FedEx to an acquaintance. Yeah, there you go. Bang, bang. So it says she told Bidwell of the restrictions of shipping a firearm, but that Bidwell allegedly told Neuheisel to proceed with the shipment. Bidwell also allegedly asked Neuheisel to provide false information on federal and international forums that were related to his travel by private plane. So it's okay. Oh, this is our favorite one here. All right. So when Neuheisel objected, Bidwell would allegedly tell Neuheisel, a practicing Catholic, do it and then go to confession. That was quoted by Michael Bidwell, that he said that to Brittany Neuheisel, his assistant. So the lawsuit says Bidwell wanted to replace Neuheisel, a 54-year-old Navy veteran, with someone who was young, beautiful, and athletic. Damn.
So he wanted her to play linebacker, and she was like, "Nah."
Yeah, but
he has a type.
She's got to be
it sounds
young.
like.
She's got to be young and beautiful, though, dude. Damn, that's... Okay, so after the Cardinals hired a woman who fit those descriptions, the lawsuit alleges that Neuheisel's role was diminished and that duties she typically had done were taken over by the new hire. So they hired some young, beautiful, and athletic.
You think she plays pickleball?
I mean, it could be a guy.
Definitely.
Oh.
It could be a young, beautiful,
true.
athletic guy.
That's true.
Right? Who knows what team he plays for? So yeah, this is what we're dealing with. This is this is the Arizona Cardinals, folks. This is our owner, Michael Bidwell. Incredible stuff. So of course, Cardinals come out. They say it's all... So the Cardinals were surprised by and strongly deny the allegations made in this lawsuit and intend to defend the case on its merits in the appropriate form. As this is now pending litigation, the team will refrain from further comment. So obviously they're going to deny everything. So it's a he said, she said type situation. But this is not the first time that we've seen this billionaire owner of the Arizona Cardinals, Michael Bidwell, and similar allegations.
Yeah, I do have some thoughts on this. I mean, my general thought is that I don't really care. This doesn't affect the on-the-field product at all. It's just more painting the picture of how much of a shit human being Michael Bidwell is. It's very unfortunate that all of the owners of the sports teams in the state of Arizona are dog shit, pieces of shit. And now Matt Ishbia, we were hoping he was our knight in shining armor, has done a lot of positive things, but we just spent a whole 50 minutes, kind of talking about this team that he's constructed, and honestly, a lot of irreparable damage he's done to the on-the-court product for the Suns. We went on about them enough. I think you summed it up perfect, Tallman. It's a he said, she said thing, and I'm no lawyer, but it sounds like a lot of hearsay, and unless any of these allegations are in writing, they mean next to nothing. So I get being frustrated, feeling like you were wronged, wanting some retribution for that. But unfortunately, where a lot of these things in the eyes of the law end up being black and white, an outside perspective could quickly be formed that this is all an attempt at a cash grab, and she's not really looking to take this to court. She just wants Michael Bidwell to slide her a check and make her shut up and go away. Now, I mean, that's a very negative, maybe unfair thing, because it's like, what is she in this lawsuit? I don't know if it says in that article, but what is she looking to gain? Does she want her job back, or does she just want some compensation for being wronged? And so
I got it.
Yeah.
The lawsuit is seeking a jury trial with a goal of damages which were not specified.
So it is cash grab.
She's looking for money. And then whenever you file a suit, obviously I'm filing a lawsuit against you. I'm going to threaten you to send it to a jury trial.
Oh, yeah.
So you can go, oh, no, don't go to jury
exactly.
trial.
Settle,
oh, my God,
yeah.
I'm going to settle. So, of course, she's looking for some type of monetary payment, right?
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of what I said is just kind of playing devil's advocate. Like I said, looking at it black and white, because it's not hard to believe that what she's saying is true just based off other allegations that have been made against Bidwell, things he's presented publicly, and kind of just how he operates. So it's easy to dogpile on him and be like, oh yeah, this is probably true, and it might be, it could be, but I don't know. I mean, it seems like, honestly, my feelings are I don't really give a shit. I don't know. Feel bad for the lady. I feel bad for the lady, but I mean,
Feel
you know, you
bad.
can always quit.
No,
You didn't have to stick around for 6 years.
True. We care about Brittany. We take. That's okay.
No,
that's not the. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So if it is a true situation where these things did happen, I hope that the correct retributions come about, right? Cash grabs are always crazy though. Like there's got to be also some type of stricter enforcement, I guess, from like the league, if that is the true way that he runs his ownership of this franchise, because I think the Shield holds their owners to a certain standard, and unfortunately over the past couple of years Michael Bidwell has been painting himself into a negative corner, to say the very least. But I think the thing that kills me about this, and Chris, you're right, we really are focused on what's on the field, what's happening. How is this team going to get better? How is this team going to get to the playoffs? The crappy thing, though, is that there still just seems to be some negativity that goes around this organization. And I think that comes with years of ineptitude and poor leadership, and it will consistently be a stain on this franchise as long as Michael Bidwell is the owner of this franchise, man. It's just crazy that this happened in basically the same week that he was named to the Arizona State Sports Hall of Fame. And so people were celebrating him, but then it's like, remember what kind of guy he might possibly be, you know? So, and the amount of times these reports have come out gives you a little bit of pause for concern more often than not. I mean, guys, you remember, you know, when all of those people started coming out about Deshaun Watson and who's the new guy?
Justin Tucker. Oh, Tucker. Yeah, sorry.
You know, the more people open their mouth, the more it can be, the more it could be true. But I really don't want to touch more about that, because it is a tough situation. If that's truly how it was, it is what it is. There needs to be recourse from it. But I'm sick of starting off seasons with negativity all the time.
Yeah, and I'll just
Sorry.
real quick.
No, you're good.
Don't get me wrong here. While I do think it is a cash grab and she's doing this just to get compensation, I do agree she probably deserves some retribution if she had to deal with this asshole for 6 years and and even if half of this stuff is true, it's just not how you treat people. Like you can talk about what's right and wrong legally and what's right and wrong morally, and so Michael Bidwell might, you know, as far as things she can actually prove that he did, he might not have, you know, broken any laws or any, you know, employee laws, especially with how lax Arizona is as far as being a right to work state, where you can just walk into work one day and your boss can say, hey, Mike, you're fired, and I don't have to give you a reason. And, you know, I just think that's the good news, like you're saying, about the Shield and how the NFL holds people accountable, because we do see a lot in both the NFL and NBA where players and coaches and owners do things in the public eye that are negative for the brand, and they get penalized within the league, although they might be able to avoid all legal liability, you know, period. But Tallman, I didn't mean to jump in over you.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say, I wonder who he's trying to ship a gun to. What do you guys think? You got any wild thoughts on who he's trying to FedEx? Like,
I don't know who his friends are.
The other
firearm.
The other stuff too is like forging information on his international travel.
On his
What
private
is,
plane.
What is this guy?
I don't know. I mean, you guys.
Is he in the show Narcos? Like, is he just an international guns and drug dealer?
Well,
like, what?
He is a pilot. So, but you guys remember Terry McDonough, right?
Oh yeah.
So there was a lot of legal shit that came in with that.
Was that the burner phone thing?
Yeah, he was the guy that came out with the Steve Keim.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve Wilkes.
He was the one.
He
was the one that basically snitched on him, for the lack of better words. But he's not. So Bidwell's not. This is not new for him. Like, it's like there's also a bunch of those employees that came up with complaints about the workplace environment. It's just unfortunate. I mean, we've had discussions before where we've literally talked about how he needs to step away from the team, step away from being, because he's president of the Cardinals, right? So he needs to step away from the team, take his hand out of the cookie jar, because he just continues to negatively affect this team off of the field, and he's becoming off-field distractions, right? Granted, this could totally be just a fallacy, this entire complaint that's been filed against him. But it's like, for as Cardinals fans, and just as an organization, if I can open up ESPN on my phone and the fifth article listed on here is Cards owner accused of verbal abuse and lawsuit, like, come on, man. Like, why do we, like, we don't need any setbacks. Like, so what if they decided the whole Myles Garrett thing? Okay, we're not even there yet, right? Even talking about this, but what if Myles Garrett was like, you know what? I like the Cardinals, man. I want to blah 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 blah. Like, I want to go to them. I want to go play for that team. They have they're up and coming. I like the coaching staff, but oh wait, the coach is a fucking the owner is a complete asshole. Like this can negatively affect the team in aspects that you don't normally think of. Like, if you're a player, do you want to go play for an organization where you don't like the owner or the owner's beliefs or shit that you hear about it? Like, if I was a player, I don't want to go play for Dallas Cowboys. I don't want to go play for Jerry Jones.
Dude, that's such a good thing, man.
Like these are the things that impact the team where he's not meaning to do it, but at the same time, it's not good for me to open up ESPN and that article is right there on the front page.
Well, no, I got to touch on the Jerry Jones thing. Why do you think the Dallas Cowboys haven't been to the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl in 30 years, man?
Yeah.
Think of the track record of the players that go there. How often are they signing high-profile free agents, if that, right? They have to build through the draft to be competitive. Now, you are the Dallas Cowboys. The beautiful thing about the NFL, there is a cap, so it's not like the MLB where the Cowboys could be the New York Yankees or the Los Angeles Dodgers of the league. But he is such a polarizing figure. The way we talk about Kyler Murray, talk about a true polarizing figure in Jerry Jones. That is a deterrent for a lot of people. So if you are continuously looked at in a negative viewpoint, and the word around the league is this dude who owns the Cardinals is a major a-hole who doesn't know how to properly treat his right-hand assistant, like a person that he has day-to-day contact with. How does he think he's going to treat a person that he might pay a lot, but still at the end of the day is just kind of like, you need to get this job done for me or else you're expendable kind of situation. It is the league. It is a business. That's how people look at it, I get, to a certain extent. But there's also, think about the teams that have been successful over the past couple of years. The Detroit Lions, that's like a family environment with the way that Dan Campbell has built that unit, and it goes up throughout the organization. Why do you think the Kansas City Chiefs have been so good for so many years? Because Andy Reid and that ownership group have built their notoriety to a point of being successful and winners. Or am I wrong? Because you're laughing.
No, I was gonna say the owner's name of the Chiefs.
Hines, right?
No, I thought it was Hunt.
Oh, Hunt, yeah.
Clark Hunt.
Yeah.
Oh, Clark Hunt, yeah.
That? Okay, sorry, that was just in my Clark Hunt.
Now I'm not completely tapped into these other markets, right?
Yeah.
My team is the Arizona Cardinals.
Right.
And when the only thing that's being shown in my face consistently from the ownership is that it's a dude who is incompetent sometimes, who is really negative to be around, who doesn't treat the people that he has day-to-day contact with class to a certain extent. And then he also doesn't treat his players right, doesn't treat their families right, doesn't keep their freaking workout spaces right, where they can be at the tip-top shape, doesn't provide them with what they need to be, charges them extra stuff. Like, the laundry list continues to grow for this guy. and Chris, I'll pass it back over to you, but for a very long time, the way that you were very critical and steadfast in your view of Michael Bidwell, I'm getting so close to that point now, and I know we talked about at the grand scheme of things with this thing, it's still at the end of the day, it's still hearsay, he say, she say, we don't know about it.
Yeah.
But this is just continues, man. When does it end? The only time it's going to end if he steps away and just cashes his check and put leaders in charge, let them be the president, and just cash your checks and go, fly your private plane to Jamaica and tell your new assistant who doesn't work for the Cardinals is just your personal assistant to, fake it with the feds or whatever.
Doesn't that sound so much easier to just hire people that are capable and more knowledgeable than you and let them run your business?
Yes.
I think that points.
We said that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That sounds like the dream.
Right. I would fuck me if I was Michael Bidwell, I'd be like, here are the keys, have fun.
Exactly.
I'll check in from time to time.
If you fuck something up, I'm coming for your head.
Yeah.
Like,
so you know what that tells me is
man.
Michael Bidwell has a massive ego and he fancies himself important and smart. And I don't think he's either of those things.
I mean, wasn't he a lawyer?
He was
Probably.
yes.
But he's
Doesn't
also
that make sense?
He also
then?
grew up an entitled rich kid and inherited this team from his daddy. And he's old money. He never had to work for anything to be where he's at. Now, granted, you don't just walk into being a lawyer. Obviously, he had to go to school and work hard and pass tests and all that. So I don't want to discredit him too much. Again, going back to what I said, it's easy to dogpile on him. But I just think it's like you're derelict of duty as an owner if you're not doing everything you can to make your on-field product the best that you can. And so it's all we can be left to infer is that all you care about is money. And you don't give a fuck if the Cardinals win a single game as long as those checks keep rolling in and your football team is profitable. And if the stadium is filled with the entire other team's fan base, you don't care because you sold those tickets. And if fans can afford to go to games, you don't give a shit because you'll just build 15 casitas and not share any of that revenue with the rest of the NFL. And you'll be sitting in the film room with your coaches critiquing them and telling them what to do as if you didn't hire them to coach the fucking football team. Michael Bidwell, if you want to wear the headset and call the plays, get your ass on the sideline. I don't know what you're doing. It's just time after time, and these little things, they start building a mountain of a bad resume, if you will, of reasons why this guy fucking sucks. And I just think there's no incentive for him to sell the team right now. So I want to ask you guys this. I believe we saw with the Commanders owner, he got forced out, right? He was forced to sell.
Dan Snyder, yeah.
Dan Snyder, yeah. And I know there was some fraud and stuff going on with that,
he was
right?
Forced. Yeah.
But could the NFL at some point say, Bidwell, you are bad for the league.
Gruden.
You need to sell.
I don't think that won't happen.
What would it take?
Yeah, it'd have to be something egregious.
No, because I don't recall I'm going to say Redskins because at the time they were the Redskins. I don't recall what that whole scandal was. It would take something bad. I mean, it would take potential. I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to speculate.
Like a federal charge or
yeah,
indictment.
I don't want to
money laundering,
yeah,
like
Yeah,
sexual misconduct,
speculate.
like something that is really egregious.
I mean,
at this point,
it's
because there's been so much stuff. Like, what else is gonna?
There has been. It's just never stops, and this is what you get when you have a meddling owner, where they just keep putting their hands in places of the organization where they hired people to be there. At least, like, if you're gonna do that, be like Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is the fucking GM of the Dallas Cowboys. Be like that then, if that's what you're going to do. You hire these people, you hire these coaches, like you said, because you're talking about the Hard Knocks thing where he was in there with Cliff Kingsbury, right? Yeah. Watching tape. Since when does an owner watch tape of past games? That never happens.
Well, and it's no wonder Cliff looked like he was pissing himself every Sunday, because how likely now with this lawsuit and other things that we've seen, it's not hard for me to believe that Michael Bidwell called Cliff Kingsbury into his office and fucking reamed him. And said, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And questioning him. So Cliff looked scared every single play he called on the sideline. And now I'm not here defending Cliff by any means, but clearly Michael Bidwell is the biggest issue on this team front office wise. You can have any head coach roll through here, but if they're handcuffed by being micromanaged and having the owner constantly peeking over their shoulder, are they going to feel comfortable to truly run the team the way they see fit? I don't know. It's tough, man.
Yeah, it's one of
it's
those things.
It's a thing where it's like there's no like easy. I mean, I think the easy answer would be Michael Bidwell sells the team, but aside from that, because he's not going to do it unless he's forced to.
No.
We just are here forced to suffer the fallout of that. And not to say that the Cardinals haven't ever found success under his ownership. We've made playoff runs. We've been in the Super Bowl, NFC championship games, but fans want the ring, man. And yeah.
I don't know. I think just for his sake, hopefully he kind of opens his eyes and starts to see that he is more of a distraction than a champion for the franchise, right?
Yeah.
And guys, how many times have we seen these owners going up on the podium and you're like, wait, who the hell is that? Like, I don't know who that person is.
Mm-hmm. That's how it should be.
I stay tapped into sports pretty well, right? I don't know every market. I don't know every owner. But normally the ones that are out in the media outlets are out there for pretty bad reasons or just negative reasons, or somebody who is more of a polarizing figure in a negative way than something where it's like, this is the guy we're all looking up to. I mean, what is the true outlook of Jerry Jones for sports fans in general? I think a lot of people think he's a kook, right? He's just a crazy old man that's still like
fucking
saying some weird stuff, and it's like, why? Like, it's fun, it's entertainment. That's what sports are at the end of the day, to a certain extent. But I'm aligned with you, Chris. I want to win, and him sitting down watching film with Jonathan Gannon, if that's still something that he does, what is that benefiting to anyone, right? You think I'm going to get X's and O's from Michael Bidwell? Did the guy?
No.
Did the guy? I mean,
Has he ever played football?
Did he play football? Did he play?
No.
He might have played high school football, but come on, anybody could play high school football. You just have to make it through camp.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't get cut from the football team at most schools.
So, going back to what I was saying, hopefully he starts to see the light where he's like, you know what? I'm causing a little bit more of a distraction than anything else. We've had a tough decade, really, if you think about it, ever since Bruce Arians left and the end of the Carson Palmer, David Johnson era, and you thought that you were on the rise, and then obviously it was another downhill disaster with Steve Keim and assistant coaches, having some weird situations. Those are the other things. How many hands were where were Michael Bidwell's hands in regards to that kind of stuff, right? Was he pulling the wool over for situations that might have been very, very bad in the grand scheme of things, but just it's all of a sudden this person is no longer with us and things are never cleared up. So it's hopefully he sees that he just has to be the owner, enjoy being an NFL owner, cash your checks, and let people who are really there to know this business and take you to become a successful program, I guess, for not a program. Programs are normally universities, but you know
I get what you're saying. Yeah, and it doesn't mean that he can't be around the team or ever appear on the sideline, but it's like, let him do the day-to-day themselves, like stay out of it. And I just don't see anyone getting that through to him. And you're right, when players leave, I think this is what you're saying, when players leave here, they feel emboldened to talk more about their time and how negative it was. And I mean, I don't think Michael Bidwell was probably the exact reason Byron Murphy left, but when we had mentioned earlier Michael Bidwell being inducted into the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame, Tyrann Mathieu commented on it and said he bought that, LOL. Which, I mean,
see, the negative connotations still come around.
He actually did that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And Tyrann has not been a part of this organization for what, 7 years now?
Crazy.
At least?
Yeah,
six or seven, yeah.
So that's bad,
That's so
man.
funny.
But then here's the other thing too, right? Patrick Peterson had a lot of negative things to say on his way out of the door. Now, granted, a lot of it was pointed towards Steve Keim, the old GM. But who was Steve Keim's number one champion? Who was Steve Keim's best friend, big old buddy. It was Bidwell. So to a certain extent, don't you think that the way that you talk about one person kind of trickles down to the people that are in their corner? I think it does.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
I mean, birds of a feather, right?
And the way that we
They fuck together.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's not it.
flap your wings. But I mean,
I don't know.
as much
I don't
as
know
much
why
as I
thought
don't
that
want to
was so
say
funny.
it, Patrick Peterson it might be one of the best 5 Arizona Cardinals of all time.
Yes.
And that's the way
I
that
agree.
he feels about this franchise, the leadership. It's just not good.
Yeah, and I mean, they can love the fan base. They can even love their coach, but when the owner makes it hard on you, like that should never be the case. The owner should never make it hard on a player to play anywhere. And I mean, granted, coaches shouldn't either, but that type of stuff can at least be explained away by like different coaching styles, difference of opinion, direction, what have you. But when an owner is impacting a player's desire to play here, then that's a problem. And I think the more Bidwell has these allegations come out, because it's kind of can turn into a snowball effect where I don't know if this woman would have felt empowered to bring a lawsuit had we not had prior history of Bidwell doing this type of shit. And so now it's not to, because I don't know, but like it's like we've seen with the Deshaun Watson and the Justin Tucker thing. It takes one allegation from one person and then 2 more people come forward and then 3 more people come forward. And you can say what you will. You can say, obviously, maybe they're not all being truthful. Maybe some of those are disingenuous cash grabs, but there's a good chance that many of them are, or at least some of them are, because allegations like that don't really just come out of nowhere if like they don't think that they have a leg to stand on, at least in my mind. Now, some people might feel differently, but I just don't know what else. I mean, I'll take that back a little bit. I do know that it's going to take more for Michael Bidwell to be forced out or for him to take a look at selling this team. Unfortunately, he's going to have to fuck up some more. But a guy like this with an ego this big, he's going to fuck up again and again and again. And it's only a matter of time until, it comes to a point where the fans are genuinely like protesting outside State Farm Stadium, a la the Dallas Mavericks. But that obviously completely different reasons. But I'm kind of glad we're not a Dallas sports podcast, if we're being perfectly honest.
Oh, things aren't good there right now.
Me too.
That's for sure.
Oh boy. But yeah, I mean, obviously not a whole lot to talk about the Cardinals. Did you want to speculate on Myles Garrett? I'd love to have him. Don't think it's going to happen. That's all I really have to say about it.
Well, I mean, I'm with you on that statement.
The former defensive player of the year.
I mean, just the amount of assets it would take to get somebody like that.
Yes.
One of the best players. No, okay, I'll say it. The best player at his position, and it just so happens that the position that he plays is one of the most sought after positions in the NFL. It would be crazy. So my whole take on it is maybe we don't get him. I'm not sitting here saying we're going to get him, right? I'm not saying trade the entire team for him. But so if the Browns put him on the block, there's 32 teams in the NFL. One of them is the Cleveland Browns who are trading him. All 31 teams are going to be calling about him because he is that good. And if the Cardinals, so say he does get traded. If nothing comes out that the Cardinals didn't at least call and put something together that might be a little sexy for them to get him, then I'll be disappointed. Because there's no reason why your number one problem on this team right now is creating pressure, on the opposing quarterback. And who is best to do that? Myles Garrett, if you can get him, if you can bring him to town, right? But you would have to sell him so hard because he came out, he wants to win a Super Bowl, right? Hey, come to Phoenix, we're gonna win a Super Bowl, right? So you would have to sell him big time on whatever you're doing, this and that, blah, blah, blah. You'd have to go all in.
You'd have to make him believe, because let's be honest, the NFC West is down, lower than it has been in the last decade.
6-4 at the bye. This season was ours.
Yeah.
if we wanted
so
it.
I think that's what you sell him on is like Kyler full season healthy, finish the season healthy, new second year with the new coaching staff. Things are trending upward. We're finally, we've started to try and build through the draft. We got these pieces that we think are going to take a step forward. Here's our plan for this coming draft. You'd have to sell him on this Cardinals team it's not going to be a 15-2 team. It's not going to be a 14-3 team, but could it be a 10-7 team and make the playoffs that way? And, just get in and then see where we go from there. But I'm with you, Tallman. I mean, they have to at least make the call. They have to make an offer or have a conversation. And I imagine they will, because it'd be a dereliction of duty if they didn't.
Well, and I think they made the call at the trade deadline too to see
Really?
what it would
Okay.
have taken. Am I mistaken on that?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I
feel like
missed
I had
that. Yeah.
heard some rumblings about
This
that.
isn't the first time we've heard
Well,
this rumor,
I'm
yeah.
sure every team called because the
Oh, yeah.
Browns were just plummeting
Yes.
after
Well,
Watson, Achilles tear, and
And at that point, last year, does a trade for Myles Garrett win you or get you into the playoffs? Probably. Possibly.
That's a good question.
But here's my full viewpoint about going into this offseason and the logistics of making a trade for somebody like Myles Garrett. Tallman's 1,000% right. Everybody's aligned with this. It's going to take capital, probably a couple first-round draft picks, probably somebody like Jalen Thompson. How much faith do you have in Rabbit to take over that secondary position in year 2, hoping that he has that jump when Jalen Thompson has been a proven commodity and a pro's pro for this organization? But the main question that I look at myself in the mirror with is I have faith in Monty Ossenfort understanding that defensive pressure from the edge has to be the number one go-to goal for getting people and difference makers in this building this year, right? You can't run it back with the Bilal Nichols. You can't run it back with the Justin Jones. You can't run it back with Denver Broncos dude who I already forgot his name because he didn't
Baron
have
Browning.
any stats coming into the
Baron
team.
Browning.
Ended up with 2 sacks, whatever. You can have some of those pieces, but they're going to look at guys like Josh Sweat. They're going to look at, well, I don't think they're going to make any kind of move for Max Crosby at this point. It sounds like they've kind of mended that relationship. But the big question I think of is being able to get better on the defensive side of the football, which I know they will through the draft and through other free agents, and then another year with the offense, figuring things out. Does a trade for somebody like Myles Garrett win you a division?
yes,
I think it could.
yes,
I think it could.
And if the answer is yes, you need to pursue it because we have not won a division
go.
in a decade.
there you go.
It's time to win.
So that's part of the selling point is, hey, we're doing something great, and you could argue that the Cardinals are doing something great. At least they're taking a step in the right direction, right? I mean, not this last season, but the season before when Kyler was hurt, like we were winning games that we weren't supposed to win. And then this previous season, like we doubled our win total, right? And then you could go to Myles and be like, hey, like you're the secret ingredient to us being successful, right? You're the missing piece to this whole recipe,
Okay,
right?
okay, I hear that.
But that'd be the selling chip,
Right,
But it's probably not going to happen.
They have to genuinely believe that. And believe me, I've been on this very podcast being highly critical of Monty Ossenfort and what a lot perceive as him
Build
not
to the
really
draft,
doing too much.
build to the
But
draft.
honestly, what did we just spend almost an hour talking about is Matt Ishbia and James Jones maybe being a little bit too gung-ho, getting these older players, and now look at the position they're in. So it's kind of the short game versus the long game.
He's
And
29 though.
who?
Miles
Myles
Garrett.
yeah, he's
Oh, well,
20 he's
okay, well,
29.
that's fine then. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is how much of your future do you have to mortgage to get him? And
That's-
29 in the NFL is
Yes.
different than 29 in the NBA.
That's
Oh,
gonna be
absolutely.
the number one big old pinned point on that board when Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon and all that front office staff start looking at what it might take to bring in somebody like a Myles Garrett. They're smart enough, I think, Chris, to understand that they can't mortgage the future because of what the way that they're handling business, right?
Yeah.
Not making trades for something a glaring need, other than a Baron Browning who doesn't have any stats.
Not even spending all the
not
cap money.
spending money to bring back guys. Not really going aggressively in the free agency.
Now not spending money is a problem.
So this is the year. Like this is the when we were talking about after the first agency, when we were talking about after the first free agency, when what they did, and they didn't have a true competent quarterback to fill the time frame when Kyler Murray was there. This was the goal. This was the take your time, build the blocks, then get aggressive year 3, spend all your money. People are ready to go, and then you go for it this year. So this offseason is going to tell everything about what the true plan was for this organization when they took the helm, I think.
I mean, come on, dude. Look at the Commanders, right? They won 4 games the season prior. They made it to the fucking NFC Championship game.
Incredible. Yeah.
Why can't the Arizona Cardinals do that? This is not, you don't need multi-year rebuilds.
Tallman,
you can go from worst to first.
It starts with one single position that you need to have a very good player in.
It's the quarterback. I agree. The catalyst for the Commanders was Jane Daniels.
With the Cardinals, what was the issue with the Cardinals this last season? Was it the offense or the defense?
It was the offense, 100%.
And who's leading that offense?
Kyler Murray. And we've talked.
We
are on the same page
about
this Kyler Murray topic.
Yeah,
Well, okay. What did I pitch to you earlier?
Tell Mike. No, you tell Mike.
No, you say it. No,
okay,
I don't want because he's gonna be mad at me. You say it.
So we are clearly we have not a lot of love left for Kyler Murray. Tallman pitched an interesting proposition to me. You trade Kyler Murray for Myles Garrett, and you sign Kirk Cousins.
Oh, God. Oh, God. That makes me... I'm not physically vomiting right now, but emotionally I'm vomiting.
The Browns need a quarterback, right? Right.
Yeah.
So you could... I mean... Kyler Murray's not bad, right? And then, so the whole thing is like,
is that your sale?
Who's gonna be your quarterback if it's not Kyler Murray? Well, then you're gonna have to throw some cash at Kirk to bring him here. You get Garrett. I mean, I don't know if it.
But
you probably have to give up a draft pick.
So is Kirk Cousins your stopgap? Is he your?
Oh yeah. He's
like
a
quarterback
2-3 years.
2 year.
Oh, you're telling me I got to go through Kirk Cousins for 2 to 3 years?
2.
I'm out.
2.
Dude.
I didn't say 3. I said 2.
So you're still in the camp that 2 or 3 more years of Kyler is better than 2 or 3 years of Kirk Cousins.
Probably. But
okay.
the discussions that we've already had, this is the last hurrah for Kyler Murray.
100%. Yeah.
If he doesn't get it done this year, if he does not get it done this year, I am okay with a reset of a quarterback next year. And I would hope that it's not Kirk Cousins, but at that point I would almost be okay if it was a rookie.
Clayton Tune.
I would too. No.
No, I'm playing. Obviously, like a genuine,
I would
drafting
too.
someone. Yeah.
I would too.
Because at a certain point, you have to throw in the towel. I mean, Kyler's been around for long enough. We know who he is.
Dude, it doesn't take that long to figure out if you're a franchise quarterback or not. Are you good or are you not?
I genuinely believe Kyler is as good as he's ever going to be. He's not going to get any better. And
well, for our sake, I hope not.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that I hope that this is not his ceiling, but I don't know. I feel like we already saw his ceiling. And it's
Kirk Cousins.
It's really hard to believe.
Well,
that he's gonna meet that.
If only in butts were candies and nuts, every day would be Christmas.
When the hell are you cooking up a Kirk Cousins trade?
Well, hey,
I don't want to know what time of night that was at.
Well, Kirk Cousins.
This is when you're in the bathroom.
Oh, so
Kirk Cousins wouldn't be a trade.
So it was in a competence stage.
Signing off the free agent.
He'd be free agent.
So you don't have to give up anything to get Kirk. You just have to give up Kyler to get Myles. In theory,
I thought he signed a long-term deal with Atlanta. Are you sure?
He's getting let go, dude.
Oh,
they're gonna buy him out?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe I didn't fully research this.
No, there's no way Kirk's gonna be.
Kirk doesn't want to stay there and sit behind.
No, I get that.
No, they're going with Penix. You could tell, but at the end of the season, they're going with Penix.
Yeah,
Kirk is gone. No one's trading for that contract that he signed with Atlanta. There's something's going to happen where he's going to be on the market. It's got to happen.
if he's on the market. So are you saying the only way that we would be able to pull off getting Myles Garrett is if we traded Kyler Murray?
No.
No.
Because if what you're saying, if what you're saying is Kirk Cousins is probably going to get cut, and you can sign him at a very veteran discount because he's getting a whole bunch of money anyways. He might take a flyer for
Falcons
a
are
one year
yeah.
deal.
Yep.
I would be okay with that being the veteran that you bring in this year to go in competition with Kyler Murray.
But there's other teams that need quarterbacks more than. He's not going to go be a backup anywhere. He's going to go be the starter.
Yeah, because Kirk
That's-
doesn't.
You're right,
the
but
Raiders,
I'm saying this
for
as
example.
a hypothetical.
Yeah.
Sure.
That would
Sure.
be the only
gonna
way
go
that
to
I
the
would be
Raiders. He
okay
wants
with
to play.
Kirk Cousins being on this team.
Is
If you're telling me that
to
Kirk
challenge.
Cousins is the starter going into the season, I might be full blown out.
Let me ask you this, Mike. Does it change anything for you? Because Kirk Cousins didn't play great this year. No doubt about that. Does it change anything for you that he's since come out and said that he was dealing with a nagging arm injury all year?
What was
that
the
doesn't
arm
help.
injury?
But if
It
he's
does not
fully
help.
healthy, then if he's 23 Kirk Cousins doing decent with the Vikings, doesn't change anything?
Did he win any playoff games?
No.
No. That's fair.
We're in the same boat.
Here, I'm more or
We're
less
in the
playing
same boat.
devil's
So that's
advocate.
what. No, I mean, these are great questions. This is the platform for us to have these conversations, right?
I'd be tempted to do it, though. I would be tempted.
Kirk Cousins has been in the league for longer than Kyler Murray, right?
Yes.
So my stipulation of an ending for what the grace period that I'm getting, if you even want to call it a grace period, that I'm giving to Kyler Murray to get it done, ends next year. My grace period for thinking that Kirk Cousins is going to get you any fucking playoff wins or get you anywhere close to making a Super Bowl, that ended 3 years ago. So if you're telling me that he's got to come in and be the starter and be the change that takes this team to winning a division and possibly a deep playoff run, you're out of your fucking mind.
Mike, it's like the Jimmy Butler thing, right? So compared to the Suns this season, and then can take that and then compare it to Kyler Murray's entire career with the Arizona Cardinals, where we keep expecting more and more and more every single season, and we keep being disappointed. But it's actually at the same time, it's a roller coaster. There's flashes. Holy shit, Kyler Murray could maybe pull this off.
Well, he could.
Oh my god,
yeah.
that one season. Oh, we went 7-0. We ended up being 10-2 at one point. Kyler Murray's fucking being talked about as being the MVP of the NFL. But at what point do you give up on a guy that's given you 6 full seasons? Granted, he was hurt the one season, not this last, but the one prior. But someone that's given you 5.5 seasons of work to where you so what was the Mike Tomlin quote that you said a couple of times?
Good is the enemy of great.
There you go. So he's a good quarterback, but he's not great. Okay? He's not great. Patrick Mahomes is great. Josh Allen is great. Fucking Lamar Jackson is great. I mean, granted, it's really hard to get to that point, and it's incredible to think of the idea that so there's 32 NFL teams, and there's only like 10 people in the entire world that are good at quarterback.
If that.
Isn't that fucking crazy? Like, god damn, is it a hard game? It's a hard league. It's difficult.
Yeah.
But at what point you've already given him 5.5 seasons to get to the point where, yeah, he's a good quarterback, but he doesn't push us over the edge, right? To where we can be great, to where we actually have a shot of winning a playoff game. That'd be great to start. But even the realistic shot of winning a fucking Super Bowl that we have never done before. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Kirk Cousins coming in at 36 years old is going to be the guy that's going to do it.
36?
But it's... Yeah,
Is he really?
Yeah, he's
Is
36.
he? Oh,
but
shit.
it's
Well,
but it's
I
something,
might take that back.
Out even further.
I might
It's-
take back what I said a little bit.
it's something new. It's different. And I'm not over here like fucking banging the table. Get rid of him. Because we're all in alignment where
You just banged the table, though.
You said you weren't going to do
This
it.
was that was an example. I was showing you
It was a metaphor.
the process.
It was more of a
doing-
threat.
of jerking off the table.
Okay.
So
I'm glad we're over an hour into this.
Yeah, no shit. I'm in line with you guys where this is his last shot, but the whole Myles Garrett thing is it's exciting. It's sexy to think about. How could you get him to Phoenix? But ultimately, it's probably impossible.
That's sad. Nothing is impossible.
Hey,
Kevin Garnett.
That is impossible.
Hey, I used to think Kevin Durant playing for the Suns was never going to happen, and then it did.
Look what happened.
So you never know, but
I will say
the Cardinals don't have a Devin
this
Booker.
This is my last thing on Kyler Murray right now. I'm ready to get hurt one more time.
See, and it's funny because when we had this conversation around the same time last year, and even throughout the start of the season, for me and Tallman, and correct me if I'm wrong, this last season was the prove it year for him, and so I'm done. I'm done.
Was, yeah.
But I
was.
respect that you want to give him one more year.
So, but that's the thing. Mine was the next year.
Yes.
I'm sticking by my guns.
We were being realistic. It was like, who else are they going to bring in?
Well, and that's the thing.
They're not
is
going
like
to trade him.
Yeah,
and
They owe
that's
him
the
so
same
much
point.
money.
we
Where
have
I'm
to
at
give him
now.
one more year.
It's not like we
There's
want him
nobody
to,
else.
You're stuck.
It's
You're
your best option.
absolutely
Really, it
stuck.
really is
So-
your only best option.
So yes, you're right. It was last year, but then it was like, we're not dumb. So we're like, obviously he's coming back next season. So
Right.
And-
all right, let's give him one more.
And I'm definitely with you. It sounds like we're kind of all in the same boat too, where it's like, even if at one point we were champions of Kyler Murray, now this is probably years ago if it was for you guys, because I don't think you really have been probably since we started Valley Sports Plug, but I am no longer a champion for Kyler Murray. I don't think I have been for a few seasons as well. But yeah, it's you're limited. What options do you have? But that's why I had the drop dead date, because of the plan that was in play with what Monty Austin-Fort and Jonathan Gannon were trying to build, where it sounded like, and it seemed, and it looked like year 3 was the year. You have a complete offensive system that has been run for a couple of years now with Kyler Murray. I just would be worried. You know, the other thing that you guys talked about, I mean, it is so important to have a game wrecker, somebody like Myles Garrett, that can change games in certain situations, but it still only seems like it's dime a dozen kind of years where a defensive player can absolutely be the team MVP and almost single-handedly take a team to the promised land if you don't have a competent enough quarterback. And really, the only one that I'm thinking about of most recent memory is Von Miller with the Denver Broncos. Yep. Peyton Manning was done. His arm was jello. Like it was
Noodle.
Yeah.
There was nothing left
Jello
in
ball.
the tank. And Von Miller single-handedly made the plays to win that Super Bowl for that team.
He was MVP, right, at the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
And he single-handedly got them through that playoff run as well. Could Myles Garrett be that type of guy? I don't know. But is it worth mortgaging something for at least what you know is a certain type of commodity? It's not the best commodity when it comes to Kyler Murray, but I don't know. Now the more I talk about it, maybe you could just plug in Kirk Cousins, and if you got Myles Garrett.
Yeah, see, all right.
See, now you're kind
All
of
right.
making the argument.
All right.
Mortgage the future. What, you want to draft another Darius Robinson who doesn't play the first 13 games? Do you want to draft another? Who was the corner that we picked?
But you drafted guys like
He didn't do shit.
Adrian Taylor-Demerson, who might be the next great safety for this team.
We're getting to the point where
You drafted
they need
clear
to fucking play. They
wide
need
receiver
to
number
produce.
2s and Michael Wilson, who just have to be given opportunity.
Okay. Well, we kind of got a little derailed there. Maybe strayed away from the original topics we had in mind. But hey, that's all right, because we're just here to have a conversation, talk sports. We love them. We did plan to touch on the Diamondbacks offseason a little bit. They're going to be starting spring training pretty soon. I think like 2 weeks till pitchers and catchers report, maybe even less. Do D-backs still have some bullpen issues they need to address. Don't know if they will. They did re-sign Randall Grichuk, as I mentioned, and free agent Trey Mancini got a spring training invite, so I doubt he'll make the roster. I think they're just kicking the tires, see what they have. But, yeah, I don't think there's much to talk about there. Did you guys have anything you wanted to say real quick on the D-backs?
Well, I think we'll dive in
next month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
next month.
We're going at it.
It'll be
Yeah.
heavy.
Yeah.
It's about to be Diamondback season. So
Definitely. Well, this has been a lot of fun, guys. I do want to give you each the floor one last time just to shout anything out, share any last thoughts, and tell the people what you're thinking. So let's start with Mike first.
Kirk Cousins, the next Arizona Cardinals Ring of Honor member. No, gentlemen, this is why I love doing this podcast with you guys. Always fun, always a pleasure, always exciting to have these kind of conversations with you guys. Just some Valley kids chopping it up. That's what it's about. Appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir. Tallman, what about you, brother?
Oh, dude, he couldn't let the Kirk Cousins thing go.
He's going to be thinking about
He's going to be
that.
going. He's going to be
thinking
laying in
about
bed
it.
tonight.
The
Like,
next 2 weeks, I bet you that's the
He's
only
gonna
thing
be
I'm
like,
thinking
damn,
about. As
damn,
soon as he
okay.
gets cut,
Maybe.
as soon as he gets cut, I'm going to be like,
Stars are
Maybe.
aligning.
What would this team be like if we had an actual pocket passer that could see over the line?
All right.
Anyway, I know that's just throwing shade. But no, yeah. Let's see. What do we got going on? Excited for the Super Bowl, fellas?
Oh, yeah.
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 It's gonna be
it'll
fun.
be over, long over. We'll have cried
yeah,
our
of course.
NFL
Yeah.
football season being over, tears away by that point.
I know if you saw the stream, we did our predictions, and hopefully the Eagles win because I'm going to bet some heavy Eagle action. But I do want to mention my Wyndham Clark bet that I made on the Phoenix Open. God damn it! Don't bet on golf. That is it. Don't bet on golf. That's it. That's my floor time is over.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's good advice.
Don't bet on golf.
I was literally telling Mike, when we were kind of just setting up, like, it's weird at watching. I don't watch a lot of golf, but when I do, there's always some no-name guy that's at the top of the leaderboard, never won a major in his life,
Kicking
but
ass.
here he is kicking ass. It's just the nature of the beast. So yes, don't bet on golf. That's bad financial
Maybe
advice.
just don't bet at all. Save your money.
That's probably
Don't
good
gamble,
financial
kids.
advice.
Don't gamble.
Yeah. And
Let us gamble.
right.
You don't gamble.
Correct. But yeah, fellas, it's been a lot of fun. I always love having you guys come in the studio. It's a different type of conversation. The live streams are a lot of fun, but a little bit more, intimate in a lot of ways here in the studio. So definitely trying to expand the studio this year, maybe get some guests in here with us. People have expressed interest, and we're thinking about you. We want to have you. Anyone who's still listening at this point or watching, thank you so much. You're a real one. I'm sure you're already subscribed, but if not, I don't know what you're doing. Go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube. You can subscribe
I don't know
also
what you're doing
on
either.
Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can follow us at AZ_VSP on Instagram, TikTok, X, anywhere that social media is. Valley Sports Plug is probably there as well. So I just want to thank you one last time. For Michael Benjamin and VSP Tallman, I'm Chris Patrick. See you next time. Peace.